But the top story on News 360, India has been completely blindsided by the recent developments in Nepal, which have left out Indian origin minorities like the Madheshis and the Tharus out of the new constitution. CNN IB's Manoj Gupta brings us details on how China has been playing an active role in expediting this constitution with a clear intent of undercutting India. This is what has happened. China has extended all its support to the Communist Party of Nepal, UML, and its chief, KP Oli, who has been declared his party's prime ministerial candidate. Now, this is rare for the Chinese government to openly back an opposition party figure in a foreign country. But for this case, China has made an exception. Senior-most ministers and officials in the Chinese Foreign Ministry visited Nepal throughout the month of August when the Constituent Assembly was debating the new constitution. So the Chinese government has been focusing on what's been happening in Nepal. Contrast this with the government of India's approach, when it sent Foreign Secretary Jaishankar only after the vote was cast, that's in the third week of September. The turning point really in the constitution process came when China invited Maoist leader Prachanda to Beijing. That's when Prachanda was convinced to drop the opposition to the new constitution during that Beijing visit. Now, under the garb of reconstruction after that deadly earthquake that Nepal suffered, China has been lending huge amounts of money to foundations led by various Nepalese politicians, including the former Prime Minister G.P. Koirala, also a pro-monarchy trust run by the daughter-in-law of the former king Gyanendra, and senior leaders of the CPN, UML and the Maoists. So the Chinese government really focusing a lot on the developments in Nepal. And as we can see, it's not just limited to the politicians. The Chinese People's Liberation Army has also offered to train more than 100 officers in the Nepal army. And Zaka Jacob, I'm told, is joining us now with more on this. Zaka, how worried should the government of India be?
Well, they certainly should be very worried because of the depth as well as the range of this evolving relationship between Kathmandu and Beijing. Like you said, it's politics, it's non-governmental organizations, as well as its military-to-military ties. And it's this range of that relationship that India should be deeply worried about. Like you said, they were well ahead of the curve in this whole constitution drafting and making process. The foreign minister, the vice foreign minister, and the assistant foreign minister, all three of them visiting Nepal separately in the month of August when the debate on the constitution was happening in Nepal. I think that's significant. They were there at a time when they could shape the conversation around this new constitution. By the way, China officially does not recognize federalism even inside China. But here you are, the Chinese government welcoming what is essentially a federal constitution, although India says that we would like a federal constitution based on ethnicity in Nepal and not a federal constitution based on geography, as it were, in Nepal. But I think what is really important is, and what is worrying is, India today is in a position where it has very few friends in the three big political parties of Nepal, whether it's the Nepal Congress, whether it's the UML, like you said, KP Oli is being openly backed by the Chinese Communist Party, and Prachanda, the Maoists. Prachanda used to be one of the biggest friends of India. The way they were able to turn him around, and the fact that he dropped his protests, he was supposed to hold nationwide protests across Nepal in April and May in opposition to this constitution. The way the Chinese got him to drop that, I think these are matters that should definitely concern India.
Zaka, what have we done wrong, looking at the attention that the new government here in India has given? The Prime Minister traveled to Nepal. I think Nepal is the only country apart from the US where he traveled to twice. What have we done wrong?
That's right. And Prime Minister Modi has given a lot of importance for Nepal. In fact, Nepal, not just bilaterally, but also as part of the Sub-SAARC initiative, BBIN as we call it. He's definitely given a lot of importance for Nepal. I think, policy-wise, we were behind the curve. Jaishankar was there last week. He should have been there in August or in July. And the fact that, he reached there after the vote happened, it makes it seem like it was an afterthought or it was done in hindsight, whereas we should have been ahead of the process. Today, for example, the biggest trending hashtag in Twitter in Nepal is Go Back India. Why should that be? I mean, India is a friend, and India has been the most important friend to Nepal all through these years. You remember in 2008-9 when G.P. Koirala was Prime Minister, when there was similar scenes of violence in Nepal, he had made a public request to then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh to help us quell the violence there. So India has helped the process in Nepal, not just this constitution-making process, but we've also rendered our help with quelling violence. We've rendered our help in humanitarian fashion in the aftermath of the earthquake. So I think we have to send out a very clear signal to the Nepalese that what's going on there is not acceptable to India. And a start in that direction, Karma, is we're given to understand, CNN is learning that Prime Minister Modi, when he's in New York, will not meet with Prime Minister Koirala of Nepal. He's meeting Sheikh Hasina of Bangladesh. He's meeting with Ashraf Ghani of Afghanistan. He just met with Ranil Wickremesinghe of Sri Lanka. But him not meeting Prime Minister Koirala will send out a very strong message to the Nepalis that, look, this is not on. The developments of the last few weeks is simply not on as far as New Delhi is concerned.
Right. Zaka, thanks for that update. In fact, our Foreign Affairs editor Achal Vora also spoke to Nepal envoy to India, Deepak Kumar Upadhyay.
Violence continues in Madhes. The situation is getting from bad to worse. How are you going to control the anger? People are, expressing their anger. They're not happy.
No, this is the thing. The violence is in such a way, just attacking the residences of the CA members, of the government civil servants, especially the judges, which are the very, very neutral people. And this is nonsense, you see. If the agitation, any kind of without violence, without, I think, non-violent movement, it would be, I think, appreciable.
But the forces have shot people in the head. People have been shot in the head.
No. There are both things. It's a very sad thing. According to the Nepal law, the court also has decided if it is necessary, it should be shot just below the stomach. We have our laws. But you see, when the policemen also are being very brutally killed, attacked, in that case, I have seen there are.
How many policemen have been killed?
It is 7, 8.
42 people have been killed, more than 40.
Yeah, and many have been injured in the security forces also. That's why this is the case. We should go on for the merit basis. Violence is not a need of the time. We should very go positively. We should stop it, and go for the any kind of peace dialogue. Immediately, we want peace dialogue. The leaders are publicly they are requesting all the agitating factors just to make a peace dialogue committee, sit together and find the solution.